Welcome to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI, your home for the politically homeless, streaming live at KVI.com and the KVI app. If you want to be part of the most dangerous show on the airwaves, call or text the Warrior Injury Law Studio line at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Coming up today, your chance to once again win fantabulous prizes, plus also a surprising Democrat is on board with voter ID. But before we get to any of that, time for your daily dose of adrenaline.
You want me to stick this into my heart? Are you f***ing nuts?
The Seattle Seahawks are Super Bowl champions once again. I am now allowed to wear my jersey. I got my flag up on the wall behind me. Mike told me I couldn't, and I agree I couldn't because I was going to jinx the team because I hadn't worn it all season. So me hopping on the bandwagon, I could have jinxed the whole thing. I didn't want to ruin it for anybody. So today, I got all my gear. Those of you watching on Facebook, Rumble, X, YouTube, you can see all our Seahawks accoutrement in the studio.
Could you be jinxing next season, though?
No. They're very separate things. Until the parade, I get through the parade, and then it starts all over again. That's my thing. So now I got to get on the bandwagon in advance. See, I got to do what I do every year. Wait a minute. Maybe I shouldn't do what I do every year, because this year, I didn't do what I do every year. Usually, I'll wear it on Fridays when I remember, and I'll wear it on the first game of the season. This year, I didn't do any of that. So maybe that's the way to go. I don't know. I always got that 12 flag outside the front of my house. I didn't do that this year. Okay. Now we know for later. Now, what's funny to me is that my daughter, who has never really followed the foosball, she was really into it this year. The first football game she watched was the NFC Championship game. Now she's like Miss Seahawk. Now she's really into it. She's got all the gear on. She's really excited for it. My daughter last night, after they won, ran right up to our deck, which overlooks Lake Washington, and starts screaming and yelling and doing the chant. And if you listen very, very carefully, you can actually hear the people that are chanting back at her. Give a listen.
Wait, yell Seahawks. Seahawks! Now C. C! Ready? C! Let's go!
Yeah, you can hear those little kids who are yelling Seahawks back at her. It's really adorable. You want to see the video of that? Yes, I know it's my daughter, but it's still adorable. You can see it over at Ari Hoffman Official on Facebook and Instagram, the Hofffather over on X. Now, there were some great moments from the Seahawks last night, and something that I really, really liked is this team of Hawks seems to be very, very different. You expect that, because they're from Seattle or they're representing Seattle, they're going to be more woke. The stuff we were hearing out of them was so wholesome. All about God, all about their parents, all the stuff we used to get in sports all the time, so much so that seemed generic, so much so that seemed trite. And now what we were getting last night was absolute gold. Here's Coach Mike McDonald and quarterback Sam Darnold.
Sammy! You're a Super Bowl champion, brother.
Love you, Ben.
Love you, man.
Thanks for believing in me.
Yeah, man, I love you.
You smell like yellow Gatorade.
Yeah.
I'm so happy
Yeah,
for
I'm
you.
happy for you too, man.
Yeah, love you, dude.
You're a Super Bowl champion.
You are too. No one can take that from us.
Forever. Forever, man.
Love you, man.
Love you, bud.
That was wonderful. Wonderful. And then Mike McDonald says this during his post-game interview. Give a listen to this.
I believe God called me to be a coach, and I listened to him, and I thank him, and we are incredibly blessed to be Seahawks, to be 12s, and now we're world champions.
That's so different from what we heard from the Bad Bunny just a couple days ago, where he was talking about blank ice and ice out or whatever else it was that he was saying, said before I get to thanking God. You know, Tony Robbins says, to be successful, you know what you have to start off by? Waking up in the morning and thanking God for everything you have. Oh, us Jews have been doing that for thousands of years. I'm glad you finally figured that out, Tony Robbins. Sam Darnold said this when he was doing his post-game interview.
I'm not usually a crier or an emotional person.
Go for it.
No, I'm not going to cry right now, but man, like, just to be able to share a moment just now, like 5 minutes ago with my parents, and Katie, my fiance, like, my parents, they believed in me. They believed in me from when I was a child playing this game. I would make mistakes. I would make mistakes off the field too. They know it, and you know they would teach me lessons and all these things throughout life, and they just believed in me, you know, throughout my entire career. And I credit them to why I'm still here, why I'm still chasing this dream, because they always believed in me, and it allowed me to believe in myself.
As Mike always said, wholesome content is wholesome, and that's exactly what that is. Then there's a different kind of athlete. As excited as we are about the Seahawks, the Olympics are going on right now. And when we see an American win a gold medal, we get all excited, but then we find out that these are the kind of people representing America this year. This is a Team USA freestyle skier saying it's hard to represent America right now.
I feel heartbroken about what's happened in the United States when, I'm pretty sure you're referencing ICE and some of the protests and things like that. I think that as a country, we need to focus on respecting everybody's rights and making sure that we're treating our citizens as well as anybody with love and respect. And I hope that when people look at athletes compete in the Olympics, they realize that that's the America that we're trying to represent.
It brings up mixed emotions to represent the U.S. right now, I think. It's a little hard. There's obviously a lot going on that I'm not the biggest fan of, and I think a lot of people aren't. If it aligns with my moral values, I feel like I'm representing it. Just because I'm wearing the flag doesn't mean I represent everything that's going on in the U.S. So yeah, I just kind of want to do it for my friends and my family and the people that support me getting here.
You ungrateful little... Look, you're allowed to say whatever you want. You got freedom of speech. But you're representing the country, and at the press conference, you just go, hey, guys, I'm here to represent the U.S. of A. I'm here to skate. I'm here to ski. I'm here to do the best I could possibly do. That's what I'm here to give 110%. I leave politics for the politicians. Look, you can say whatever you want. You can. Doesn't mean we agree with it, and doesn't mean we have to watch you. Here's USA figure skater Amber Glenn slamming the United States, which gave her an opportunity to become famous on a pair of knives on ice.
Yeah, it's been a hard time for the community overall under this administration. It isn't the first time that we've had to come together as a community and try and fight for our human rights. And now, especially, it's not just affecting the queer community, but many other communities. And I think that we are able to support each other in a way that we didn't have to before, and because of that, it's made us a lot stronger. I hope I can use my platform and my voice throughout these games to try and encourage people to stay strong in these hard times. I know that a lot of people say, you're just an athlete, like stick to your job, shut up about politics, but politics affect us all. It is something that I will not just be quiet about because it is something that affects us in our everyday lives. So, of course, there are things that I disagree with, but as a community, we are strong and we support each other, and brighter days are ahead of us.
You know, I know these 3 or 4 athletes are giving all of Team USA a bad name, but you can't overlook it. Look, viewership for the Olympics is down. It's been going down for years and years, so much so I didn't even know they were happening. Until I saw J.D. Vance flying out to Italy for the Olympics, I'm like, wait, I completely even forgot that was happening this year. A lot of people aren't paying attention, especially when you factor in what was going on with the Super Bowl locally. We weren't paying attention. We had our eyes on the prize. But these are the people representing USA. I think back to Michael Jordan, and this is something I really loved about Michael Jordan. This is why LeBron will never be Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan, known for Air Jordans, known for Nike, right? We all saw the movie. We all know the story. So we all know the sneakers. We've all at least owned one pair of Air Jordans if you're my age because you thought they were the coolest thing ever, and then you realize you can't afford them anymore. So with Michael Jordan, Reebok was sponsoring the Olympics when he was on the Dream Team. and he had to wear all the Reebok gear, but he's a Nike guy. He covered up the Reebok on his jumpsuit, on his sweatsuit, with the American flag. You don't get that anymore, really. You just don't. And that's kind of sad. And maybe this is the kind of stuff people don't want to watch the Olympics about because they don't want to be lectured. They want to be proud of their country. They want to stand there. They want to salute the flag. They want to stand up for it. They want to talk about how exceptional America is on the international stage. And this is who's representing it? Jeff in Kent says over on the Warrior Injury Law text line, they can feel free to represent North Korea. That's good, Jeff. That's very, very good. So, yeah, I don't want to watch your silly sport. I just don't. You know, Lindsey Vonn was crying because she couldn't compete anymore after a horrible accident. That's who I want representing me. I don't care that she didn't place because she was disappointed that she doesn't, she got injured during the thing, and now she can't represent us anymore. But then there's something else, is the image we portray to the world. And as much fun as we had during the Super Bowl, there was a bit of controversy surrounding the Super Bowl. And that, of course, was the halftime show. Now, to be perfectly frank, and I'm trying to look at this from an objective perspective, if the NFL thinks that having the Bad Bunny represent them on the international stage is going to bring more viewers to the NFL, and let's say it does, then they made the right business decision as long as they didn't alienate their core audience. Is the halftime show for me or you? Absolutely not, and it hasn't been in forever. I went back to 1990, looked up all the Super Bowl shows, and I looked up which ones did I actually enjoy out of all those. So that's when I'm a kid, when I'm a teenager, when I'm in college, when I'm an adult, when I'm freshly married, till now. Would you like to know how many I actually enjoyed out of all of these? 3. Literally 3. Now, were there a few more I can say, okay, I'm not a fan of this band, but I understand why people like what's going on here? Sure. Prince performing Purple Rain while it's raining outside. I'm not a Prince fan, but that's pretty iconic, that moment. The whole rap ensemble they had a couple of years ago, I'm not a fan of that, but there were a lot of people they really enjoyed seeing all the different rappers on stage. I get that. Do you know the only ones I enjoyed? 3. You're wondering what they are. The first one I can remember as a kid, 1993, Michael Jackson. Okay, that's the first one I can remember. You're going to laugh at this one. When the Seahawks won last time with Bruno Mars. I don't particularly like Bruno Mars, but I thought he did a great showmanship job, and I thought he put on a good show. And maybe it was I was caught up in the whole, oh, the Seahawks are winning thing. And the other one that I very much enjoyed, the 2002 Super Bowl, when U2 performed, and Bono opens up his jacket. He's got the American flag, and they're scrolling the names, and that was very emotional. Aside from that, I basically hated every single halftime show. Now, that's not really an excuse for the Bad Bunny business for a minute here. It wasn't for me. It was for the kids. I didn't know who Bad Bunny was until, and you're going to laugh at this too, Happy Gilmore 2 came out. Bad Bunny is Happy Gilmore's caddy in the movie and was hysterical. So when they announced him for the halftime show, I said, oh, now I get to see what this guy is actually famous for. And I'm convinced he was only in that movie because his daughters like the Bad Bunny. So he's in the movie, and then I start looking into the Bad Bunny, and I'm not a fan of his politics. And then I start looking up the lyrics to his words. Now, this I found entertaining. Yesterday, for the national anthem, they were very proud to introduce the sign language person. Great, wonderful, be inclusive. For God bless America, here's your other sign language person. Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that wonderful? Why do you think they didn't do the sign language for the Bad Bunny songs? Or maybe closed caption it? Maybe.
Are we sure they didn't?
I didn't see it on my TV. Did you?
I didn't try the closed captioning.
Well, I'm sure you can select the option to close caption it. But when you hear his lyrics, perhaps that's why they didn't want to put them on the screen in front of everybody. Galactic style lust. Yes, so that your panties, can't say that on the radio, can't say that on the radio, and versatile. More, can't say that on the radio, than Betty Boop. The one who got, can't say that, can't say that, can't say that, can't say that. Repeating. I can't say any of this I cannot read any of this on air. I cannot. Okay? Put it this way. It's like WAP, only worse. This is filthy. So don't tell me this is family-friendly content. You guys got mad when Janet Jackson showed a little something. This is basically showing what happens after you see a little something, aside from all the grinding and everything else. Is this making me a prude? Maybe. But don't tell me it's family-friendly content. And for all the people on the left side of the aisle going, it was amazing, I love Bad Bunny. Shut up. None of you knew who he was until you said, oh, we have to go defend this. And are you alienating the Americans in the meantime who enjoy football? The Super Bowl is one game a year. Are people going to tune out the Super Bowl? Now let's take Turning Point USA's concert for a second here. Now, we did like that young Zach, while he was out in the stadium, he's streaming the Turning Point concert, literally while the Bad Bunny's out there. And we're going to hear from Zach at 5 o'clock today. He sent us a video. He posted it on KVI.com. Nobody in that stadium was enjoying the Bad Bunny. Nobody was, except for maybe the Bad Bunny and everybody with him.
Well, I was thinking about it, too. The way it was set up for TV.
Right.
Like, the viewers are the ones that got the experience. Like, he was walking towards the camera and grabbing, and... yeah, it's got to be really lame.
It reminded me of The Weeknd getting lost in his own maze during COVID with the masks and all that stupid. So the Bad Bunny, oh, you know my favorite part? You know those bushes he was running through? Those are people in costumes. So all the bushes got up and walked off stage afterwards. I'm like, wow, this is what happens with all the kids who played trees in theater in high school. They go to work for the Bad Bunny in the NFL as walking trees. This is professional trees on a real stage. But for me, the Turning Point USA one, I watched both of them. I didn't actually get to watch them at the time. I had to go watch both on YouTube later. I actually went to my synagogue for services because I thought praying for the Seahawks was a good thing, especially at that point. It was only field goals. So what happens? You look at the Turning Point USA thing. First of all, I thought the guy who did the American National Anthem on the electric guitar was stellar. I thought that was the standout moment. Then you've got the country performers, and then you've got the Kid Rock. Look, we all know what Kid Rock's his lyrics are, but him transitioning to that religious performance is showing an arc of an artist and how I used to be this stuff, now I'm something else. Did I particularly enjoy the Turning Point USA concert? Once again, it wasn't for me. It was people who like country. It was for people who like Kid Rock. But I loved the fact that it was trying to celebrate America. I did not like that you had everybody at the NFL and all these pundits on TV trying to claim that the Bad Bunny running around with all these other countries' flags, talking about all these words I can't say on radio, you're trying to say that represents us in a language we don't speak. And before everybody starts calling me racist, if the thing was in Hebrew, I would think that would be a stupid thing to do because people can't understand it. People can't enjoy it. Has this turned you off from the NFL? Has the Bad Bunny turned you off from the NFL? Are you still going to watch it next year? You may just not watch the halftime show because, to be perfectly frank with you, I can't remember the last time I did watch the halftime show. That's when you go to the bathroom. That's when you get more hamburgers and chicken poppers. That's when you get more beer. The halftime show is not for us. The halftime show is trying to get a new audience in to be watching the game. But if you're going to say you're representing America and having the planes fly over, I think a great halftime show would have been bombing Iran. Then you could have preempted the game and President Trump could have come on. Just moments ago, we bombed Iran. I know you're enjoying the big game. I'll let you get back to it in a minute, but I'm going to talk for a few minutes. We bombed Iran. It was the most beautiful attack, more beautiful than any of the field goals you've seen in the game tonight. It's beautiful. Good luck to the Seahawks and the Patriots. We love Patriots. We love the American Patriots. Maybe not the football ones, but we love football. Enjoy the game. This is your president, the best president. And those planes you just saw, they just bombed Iran. I don't think you could get there in that amount of time, but it still would have been pretty fun. Tell me, has this completely turned you off from the NFL? Did you watch the Turning Point one? What'd you think of it? What'd you think of the Bad Bunny? Was it as bad as you think I'm making it out to be? You let us know, 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. When we come back, I cannot stand all these socialist politicians now celebrating the wins of capitalism and the patriarchy. We'll discuss what Katie Wilson did when we come back. You're listening to The Ari Hoffman Show. I loved all the Seattle socialist politicians yesterday. Yay, Seahawks! Woo! I mean, my favorite was Pramila Jayapal, who looks like she literally just got a jersey off a vendor somewhere, put that thing on, and the wrinkles are still in it from the folds. I was surprised one of those anti-theft devices wasn't pinned to the corner somewhere and the tag wasn't hanging out. That is the shiniest, crispest jersey I've ever seen in my life. Talking about how they win. Woo! Woo! Win for capitalism. Oh, wait, we're celebrating capitalism? Oh, no. She looked as authentic as the governor of New York looked next to that barbecue in all white. She, holding that spatula, Kathy Hochul. She looked as authentic as Chuck Schumer putting the cheese on the uncooked hamburger on his barbecue. So authentic. Then there's Katie Wilson, okay? I have to set the stage for Mayor Katie Wilson's celebratory video on the Seahawks. Katie Wilson is sitting around her house with a very diverse group of hipster-looking white people. And Katie Wilson is throwing a football. And for those of you who are fans of Friends, you know the episode where Ross hands Ben to Rachel for the first time, and she's holding with the arms extended, and he goes, hold her like you would a football. Hold him like you would a football. And she goes, this is how I would hold a football. That's how Katie Wilson looks with the football. So listen to how non-scripted and totally natural our mayor sounds in this video.
Huge congratulations to this incredible Seahawks team and the Dark Side defense for winning it all and bringing Seattle together with the loudest, strongest, most united spirit that we've seen in over a decade. 12 as one. Woo!
Woo! Very diverse group of white people. Woo! For the mayor with all the diversity. Woo! Woo! Yeah, that wasn't written on a teleprompter or held up on a piece of paper for her at all. Give me a break. I'm so tired of this, really. Waiting for the patriarchy. A whole bunch of dudes won. Do they realize what they're celebrating? You know why the Seahawks won? Because they got the best at each position. Imagine if we did this DEI style. Well, you want to be a football player, but you're like 70 years old, but you want to play football. You never played football before. Cool. Let's put you on the team. I mean, we could go down that rabbit hole a lot more. You know where it would end. They won because they got the best players, not because they followed some kind of diversity quota. Unbelievable. Just the absolute inauthentic reactions to this. Over on the text line, I got this one here. This is from Dan Smith. We watch Kid Rock more because it's Kid Rock than the other lame duck. He just puts on a better show. And, well, super redneck America blank, yeah. That's kind of how a lot of people felt watching that one. Yeah, very good. I do like what some other people are writing here. This one from 12th Man for Life. My three favorite things in life are my family, our house, and the Seahawks. My wife of 20 years says my favorite things aren't in that order. I would rather have a limb cut off and not be able to watch the Hawks, even if NFL is so woke. So this one here, Becky in Enumclaw says, I did watch about a minute or so of the Bad Bunny at the halftime show, and I didn't understand any of it. When you have to start grabbing your crotch as part of your entertainment, whatever, I just turned it off and watched the Turning Point, and it was good. It was the country singers. I wasn't really familiar with them, so I was Googling them, and they were all very entertaining. And I do like the fact that it was pro-America, as did I. I did Google to see who hired the Bad Bunny, and it brought up Jay-Z. Yes, Jay-Z has produced the halftime show for the past few years. She says, my sister watched it and said she liked the positive messaging, so I just let it go. We're very different. Now, a lot of you are saying, oh, Turning Point won the ratings, or the NFL won the ratings, or the Bad Bunny, or the Kid Rock. Let me tell you something. I don't think we have all the ratings yet. People are doing a lot of the comparison on YouTube, and I know that the Turning Point USA stream broke records on YouTube. But for example, I know myself and a lot of others, we watch the game on Peacock. That's the streaming service for NBC. I know a lot of people are doing that. I don't think they've released the Peacock numbers yet. I haven't seen them yet, but I got to assume they're pretty big.
I was hearing anywhere from 4 to 6 mil on the Turning Point stuff.
Yeah.
And I heard 135 million
so this is
for Bad Bunny.
Right.
That's what I've been
This is the problem, is that I know that between the different platforms, Turning Point was somewhere around 25 million. And then I saw something in the 100 million, 118 million for the NFL. I don't know what won what. I know Turning Point USA may have won on YouTube, but that doesn't mean the NFL won. We don't know the answer. The answer is that how many fans can you alienate and then still be able to get them back for other things? That's my real question here, is that how much more can this go? I mean, people really did not like the Bad Bunny. I don't know anybody who actually enjoyed the Bad Bunny except for the kids. The kids seem to like the Bad Bunny. I love all these politicians pretending like they like Spanish reggae music, right? Yes. Tell me about it, Joe Scarborough. I'm sure while you're cruising down in your private limo, heading to the MSDNC studios. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. MS Snow, M Snow, MS Now, whatever their name is. I'm sure you're cruising along listening to the Bad Bunny. You didn't know who he was 5 minutes ago. Give me a break. Just a reminder, by the way, my friends, we have a contest back today. We're going to be giving out a keyword throughout the show for your chance to win 2 tickets to see Lionel Richie and Earth, Wind, and Fire at Climate Pledge Arena on August 3rd. So make sure you keep listening to KVI so that you can win those tickets. Also, before I forget, we only have 25 seats left to Stake of the Union. We have gone through the majority of our tickets. I expect it to sell out today, sometime during the show. So we only have 25 tickets left to Stake of the Union. Make sure you go to kvi.com right now, sign up so you don't get closed out, because when the tickets are gone, they are gone. We do not have extras. We are not holding any back. So make sure that you sign up right now at kvi.com. We're having dinner at Daniel's Broiler, live broadcast of the Ari Hoffman Show. We're going to watch the State of the Union together. You get my live reaction to everything. And I hear we're making specialty drinks with some very entertaining titles for all of you. It's going to be awesome. I saw the drink menu today. Forget the steaks. I'm excited about the drink menu. They are very clever. I am very, very excited. Very excited about this. So head on over to kvi.com right now. Make sure you sign up. When we come back, my friends, something else I'm super excited about. John Fetterman coming down in favor of voter ID. Yeah, this is awesome. Is there a Democrat civil war brewing? I'll tell you all about it when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. So all they can talk about in Washington, D.C. right now is the SAVE Act, which Republicans are trying to pass to make sure we have set standards when it comes to federal elections about voter ID. What's crazy to me is I could run montage after montage after montage of Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, Joe Biden, you name it, Hillary Clinton, talking about how you need voter ID and how you can't have open borders. And yet Democrats in Washington, D.C. aren't budging on this. Not at all. Because they know that once you have voter ID, the party's over. That means no more illegal aliens voting. That means no more dead people voting. That means no more fake people voting. The party's over. And there goes their power. Does that mean Democrats will never win an election ever again? Of course not. There's plenty of times that Democrats won elections when we did have a more secure voting system. But what it does mean is they don't have that little extra advantage. Kind of like deflating a football a little bit. It doesn't give you the extra grabbing you need to get those last few votes, if you know what I'm saying. So what's surprising is that some Democrats are breaking ranks. Well, I should be more specific. One Democrat is breaking ranks on this, and that's John Fetterman. This is what he told Fox News.
And now me as a Democrat, I do not believe that it's unreasonable or to show ID just to vote. And I remind everybody that less than a year ago in Wisconsin, they added that to the Constitution by a 63%, passing to put that in the Constitution that you have to show ID to vote. And they also elected a very, very liberal justice into their Supreme Court. So it's not a radical idea for regular Americans to show your ID to vote. And it's absolutely, those things are not Jim Crow or anything. Of course, that's part of an awful, awful legacy of our nation for so long ago. But where we are now, trying to find a way forward, just trying to call balls and strikes, seeing what's unreasonable, hopefully we don't have to do, and pay the TSA people and everyone, secure our border, and focus on deporting all of those kinds of criminals, wherever they are. That's the guy that votes for that and supports that as a Democrat, and I don't ever want to vote to shut our government down again.
Right, and you are very much where the people are. Look, that's what most people would like to see. Prioritize the criminals. Take the criminals out of the country who are here illegally but are also committing crime. But, I mean, is there any other way to view the fact that Democrat leadership refused to have ID to vote? Is there any other way to read it other than they want illegals to vote? I mean, can you read it any other way?
Well, I mean, for me, the SAVE Act is not going to pass because of the filibuster, because they would need at least 7 or 8 Democratic votes to pass that. And now remember also, all the Democrats, all we wanted to eliminate the filibuster, except for it was Manchin and Sinema. They wanted to eliminate the filibuster, and now our party loves the filibuster. And then I do think think the filibuster is a good thing, and it does force us to work together overall.
Right. Sure, absolutely.
Yeah. Yep. But I will say this as a Democrat, I do not believe it's radical or extreme to just produce ID to vote overall.
Exactly. All right,
what
Senator.
A common sense approach. What a common sense approach. It's crazy to me that the guy who had brain damage a couple of years ago is the most clear-headed thinker in the entire Democrat Party. Why would you resist voter ID? Stop with the, it's racist, that has been debunked 1,000 times. Now, President Trump wants to get rid of the filibuster. And I think that's an incredibly bad idea, because that means if you lose the House and the Senate next time, they will ram through whatever they want, including impeachment, you name it. What happens when we're not in power? What you have to worry about in government is the very tools you have at your disposal being used by your worst enemy. I'm not saying the Democrats are our worst enemy, but right now it doesn't seem like the Democrat Party really has America's interest in their front of their minds. Seems like they have socialist interests or interests of illegal aliens. So you got to look at that and say, what are they going to do if you get rid of the filibuster? And I don't think anybody wants to be the party that got rid of the filibuster. I don't think anybody really wants to do it. What do you think? Nuclear option, get rid of the filibuster? Or you say continue on the path and hope we get better election results in the midterms? What do you think? Give us a call or text 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Meanwhile, I forgot to remind or to tell everybody to announce this, by the way. KVI is going to be out at the Seahawks parade. We are going to be out there on 4th Avenue where the Jiffy Lube is. That's where we're going to be. So you can come by and visit the KVI booth if you can get downtown on Wednesday. We'll talk more about the parade and all details about it at 5:15. That's going to be about 5:15, 5:20 today. We're going to have all the details on the parade for you, who's running it, what you can expect from it, and what we'll be doing while we're out there. But meanwhile, when we come back, my friends, the Washington Post has the worst take on the Super Bowl ever. They credit one man for the Super Bowl success, and he hasn't played football in years. We'll tell you who it is when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Last week, the Washington Post laid off a whole bunch of people, basically getting rid of their sports section, their international section, and their book reviews. 300 people is a lot of people doing sports, international, and book reviews. But they laid off 300 people. Here's them protesting outside the building their firings.
Hey, we do. Who makes the post? We do. Who makes the post? We do. Who makes the post? We do.
Well, you don't anymore. You're gone. And I don't want to make too much fun of them because the industry is rapidly changing and their subscriber numbers are down. In fact, I hear our very own Seattle Times subscriber numbers are way, way down. Why would you guys pay for them? Whenever somebody's complaining about the Seattle Times, I always go, do you have a subscription? And I'm shocked how many times they go, yes, I like the Sunday stuff or this. Cancel it. There's plenty of other places to read that stuff. Cancel it. Save some money. Why are you funding that nonsense? But perhaps the reason the Washington Post is speeding up their own demise is because of articles like this. This article I woke up to Sunday morning when you know you're having a lazy Sunday, you roll over in bed, you grab your cell phone, say, I'm just going to doom scroll for like an hour before I get up to do anything. Let's see what's going on here. I read this and my eyes almost jumped out of my head. Ready for this? Headline from the Washington Post. Actually, you know what? Skip the headline. Let's go to the first paragraph. Keep the suspense going. They say that one man is absent from the Super Bowl, and it's all thanks to him. Here we go. The most relevant figure to Super Bowl LX is absent from it. The game will be played in his former home stadium, in the place where his protest made him a national lightning rod and a global symbol. The social issues swirling around America's largest sporting spectacle carry distinct echoes of what prompted his actions and what led to his exile, and yet he remains outside the conversation and invisible within the confines of the NFL. Colin Kaepernick might as well be a ghost. Colin Kaepernick? Seattle Seahawks safety Julian Love said this week, as if hearing a name he have not heard in a long time. A long time. Oh, wow. Okay, can we stop right there for a second? Number one, Adam Kilgore. Do you not know sports? Look, I have a passing knowledge of football. Baseball's my true thing, and pitchers and catchers show up at Mets training camp and Port St. Lucie later this week, and I'm very, very excited for that. But I don't pretend to know the foosball. But okay, let's discuss Colin, whatever his name is, Colin Kaepernick for a minute here. What was he, a mediocre quarterback who had one good season? Maybe. This is a guy who hasn't played football in 10 years. 10 years. So he used to be on the 49ers. I remember that after his social justice protests, teams kept giving him tryouts. Teams kept giving him chances, and he would blow them off and not take advantage of it. This guy was trying to secure life after football, and he's a national joke now. The guy almost destroyed the NFL. And you think this Super Bowl happened because of him, just because it's played in Levi's Stadium? I don't even know if they had the same sponsor back then that they have now for the stadium. And yet, you think he's responsible for it? Look, Colin Kaepernick doesn't even get credit for the 49ers losing to the Seahawks. He hasn't played in 10 years. Maybe this is why people are unsubscribing from the Washington Post. Just a thought. Just a thought. Because this is absolutely crazy. You guys are giving credit to Colin Kaepernick, saying that he's the reason they're in this thing? That's crazy. Absolutely crazy. Man. And then they wonder why independent journalists are getting more attention than people like the Seattle Times and the Washington Post. Well, this is why we're so dangerous to the establishment. This is why Olympia has banned people like me, Brandy Cruz, Jonathan Cho from going to the Washington State House. Why? Because we actually report the news, not about a guy who hasn't played football in 10 years and his impact on the Super Bowl. Are you kidding me with this nonsense? Really? From the text line, Beth and Shelton talking about the Olympics and the woke athletes. Hey, Ari, I always watch the Winter Olympics. I haven't missed them as long as in living memory. And I'd like to say that Amber Glenn, that's the lady you heard from earlier, nearly cost her team the gold medal for her lame performance. Maybe if she was focused more on the game, we would have won by a much larger landslide than we did. Lucky for us, the rest of the team had their mouths shut and their eyes on the prize. Exactly right. Jeff and Kent said the last Super Bowl he enjoyed was Janet Jackson's wardrobe malfunction. Okay, let's keep it family friendly around here, people. This one here from Dan, I'm not watching anything but USA hockey. Win or lose, those guys represent us. And I can't wait to see a good USA versus Canada brawl. Yeah, it seems like a lot of people are excited about that. Micah Ruzioni was calling out Team USA, by the way, not the hockey, but the skating folk. When we come back, my friends, lots more to discuss, including all our worst fears have been confirmed about what's happening in girls' sports. We'll tell you about it when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Welcome to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI, your home for the politically homeless, streaming live at KVI.com and the KVI app. If you want to be part of the most dangerous show on the airwaves, call or text the Warrior Injury Law Studio line at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Coming up this hour, the military cuts all ties with Harvard. Jennifer Say, former CEO of Levi's, will be stopping by, and your chance to win 2 tickets to Lionel Richie and Earth, Wind, and Fire. But before we get to any of that, last week we told you about Democrats' efforts to release more level 3 sex offenders into unsuspecting communities. If you are unaware of what they are doing, releasing them from our very own pedo Alcatraz McNeil Island, here's a little bit of a commercial we did way back when that'll explain it to you.
Washington State's McNeil Island is a beautiful long vacation destination for level 3 sex offenders. Now, Jay Inslee, Bob Ferguson, and Washington Democrats are bringing the experience to your neighborhood. Department of Corrections Tours is sending the offenders to beautiful halfway houses with no guards and no security on sprawling properties in rural residential areas. Who needs safety when you can feel good about yourself with virtue signaling? If you're asking yourself, how can I be part of the fun? Chances are you are already. No one is informing the neighbors. So look out your window and find out if you've been selected as one of the lucky recipients of a level 3 sex offender in your neighborhood. This message, unfortunately, not sponsored by the Department of Corrections and the Department of Social and Health Services. May the odds ever be in your favor.
As entertaining as that is, what's actually happening is not entertaining at all. So Republicans found out that the Democrats were going to be putting in one of these less restrictive housing alternatives in a neighborhood in Kennewick, Washington. This area within 2 miles of this location are 7,400 students in multiple schools. Across the street from this location is the community pool, which everybody uses during the summer. And next door are homes with children. Sure, let's put the level 3 sex offenders rated by the FBI, the most likely to reoffend, right there in that hot spot. That's going to work out well for everybody. Well, the Republicans come out with a whole bunch of bills trying to stop this. And who gets in their way? The Democrats. Let's give you a little details here. Efforts by Republican lawmakers in Washington to stop or tighten the placement of sexually violent predators in a Kennewick neighborhood suffered a major setback this week after Senate Democrats effectively halted the only bill to reach a committee hearing before a key legislative deadline. According to the Tri-County Herald, Senate Bill 6339, sponsored by Senator Nikki Torres and Senator Matt Banky, would require less restrictive alternative housing placements to be owned and operated by the same entity responsible for supervising and providing treatment to sexually violent predators released from McNeil Island. The bill received a hearing on Wednesday in the Senate Human Services Committee. However, it is not expected to move forward after committee chair Senator Claire Wilson, Democrat of Auburn, said she would not advance the legislation, claiming during the hearing there is some conversation and communication that needs to occur. We've been talking about this since 2020. What more conversation do you need? Plus, let's not forget that literally last week, they had to rearrest one of these level 3 sex offenders who was released with no supervision whatsoever. Oh, right, he was under Department of Corrections supervision. And we keep finding out how that doesn't work at all. And they arrested this guy after he was already online dealing with kiddie porn. So this is working out real well for everybody, isn't it? Claire Wilson. I know she was in a video that I saw in one of these community groups calling out all this insanity in Kennewick, Washington that the Democrats have proposed. Here's what she said in a committee hearing just recently.
And I will say myself, we had a release in Spokane from a gentleman from Spokane originally who did not nice things to individuals and released in my community. And he was a gentleman that was released not under LRA, but under the other pathway. And that caused a bit of stir in my own community, in my own neighborhood as well.
Oh, a gentleman, you say? A gentleman did some not nice things. caused a bit of a stir. Who's she talking about? The South Hill rapist, Kevin Coe. She just called him a gentleman who did some not very nice things, caused a bit of a stir. Talk about burying the lead. Talk about just, I don't know, covering that up, whitewashing that whole situation. He's literally such a horrible rapist. He's got a name. They only give names to really horrible, horrible people. Senate Bill 6339 was part of a broader package of 8 bills introduced in the House and Senate by Tri-Cities lawmakers in response to proposed sexually violent predator transition home near the corner of 8th Avenue and Edison Street in Kennewick. The site is under review for housing up to five sexually violent predators, level 3 sex offenders, the highest risk classification, who have completed prison sentences but were later civilly committed after being found likely to reoffend without secure confinement. Most sexually violent predators in Washington are held at the Special Commitment Center on McNeil Island, a remote facility originally intended for the state's most dangerous sex offenders. In recent years, Democrats have worked to transition sexually violent predators into community-based, less restrictive alternatives under court supervision, a policy shift that has generated public backlash in neighborhoods statewide. Gee, can't imagine why. Why do you think it is that the Democrats are always on the side of the creeps like this? Why are they advocating for this? I don't see any of them near Jay Inslee's house. I don't see any of them being put near Bob Ferguson's house. Let's put them out in the areas where those people didn't vote for us, right? Let's put them out there. Why are the Democrats always on the wrong side of these things? There's an article out today that absolutely horrifying. In fact, I can't read all of it on air because it is more graphic than the Bad Bunny's lyrics, what happened in this article. If you have a kid in the car, I'm going to clean this up. I'm going to clean this up so you don't have to earmuff the kid. This is a story that Brandy Cruz, host of the Undivided podcast, put out. And it is our worst fears coming true. And something that has happened before in states like Virginia. And now we're having it here in Washington, and we knew it was only a matter of time, but it's directly as a result of Democrat policies. Brandy writes that Callie Keeler has been wrestling her entire life. The 16-year-old sophomore at Rogers High School in Puyallup says she's never experienced anything like what happened during a December 6th match with in-district rival Emerald Ridge High School. A couple of minutes into the 190-pound bout, Kaylee found herself face down on the mat with her opponent's arms between her legs and fingers pressed, I'm just going to clean this up and say, somewhere they shouldn't have been. What happened and didn't happen the 2 months that followed highlights the extent to which public school districts in Washington state will go to protect trans athletes at the expense of girls and even at the expense of following the law. Video taken by Kaylee's mom on December 6th captures the disgust and panic in her face as she tries to mouth to her mom where the fingers are. Her mom can't make out what she's saying, as on the wrong side of the mat to see what's happening to her daughter. The referee is also out of the line of sight. Her mom can be heard saying to someone off camera, I don't know what she said. I don't know why her face looked like that. Traumatized and confused, Kaylee decided to let her opponent pin her. She said, I just want the match to be over. She just wanted the match to be over. I couldn't find my coach. There were other matches going on. She waited for a break in the action to inform her coach of what she felt like was an intentional sexual assault. A coach from an opposing team came up to her and told her something that would make it even worse. Kaylee's opponent was a biological boy. She had no idea. No one told her before the match. To be clear, Kaylee intended to tell her coach what happened before knowing her opponent was a boy, but now she felt violated in more ways than one. 2 days after the match, Kaylee's parents emailed coaches at Rogers High School to find out what they intended to do about what happened. Her mom wrote, this is a huge issue and something that is 100% not okay. The fact that this was done by a biological male who identifies as a female is an even bigger issue for me. Where do we go from here? Kaylee had also spoken to her coach personally about the incident. I told her how uncomfortable the match made me feel. She said she was looking into it. In a December 8th email response to Kaylee's parents, her coach seemed to take the accusation seriously. Quote, I would most certainly would not put Kaylee on the mat if I thought she was competing with a male. I will investigate this and look to see if we have video on our end. I will touch base with you either this afternoon or tomorrow morning after I do my due diligence. The family says they never heard back. Kaylee decided to email Undivided her story a few days after they reported that at least a dozen female athletes at Emerald Ridge High School were complaining to school administrators of the presence of two boys in their locker room. The girls told the school principal and vice principal that the boys made them uncomfortable. In the January 22nd story, they identified one of the two boys the girls complained about as a 190-pound wrestler on the girls' team. That was when Kaylee realized that more girls than just her were being hurt. She sent the tip to Undivided on January 25th. Quote, ever since that incident on the mat has made me reconsider returning to wrestling because I'm not even sure if I can or will feel safe on the wrestling mat. Brandy Cruz says she emailed the Puyallup School District for comment on January 29th. The next day, the school reported Kaylee's allegations to the Pierce County Sheriff's Office nearly 2 months after the district employees had a legal obligation to do so. Stop. Pause right here. I have to tell you a little story. There was this camp I was working at one time as a counselor. And what happened was one of the staff members, a boy, went to pick up another boy in a wrestling hold and grabbed somewhere he shouldn't have in a bad situation. That kid complained and we fired the staff member immediately. Immediately. Because even when it's by accident, that is assault. That is sexual assault. You cannot take any chances with that, and you are a mandated reporter by law. So the school finds out about this immediately. The coach finds out about this immediately. And yet they don't take action until Brandy Cruz reaches out asking for comment, because then they know they're in legal trouble. There's already, now, this has been going on for 2 months, and they don't do anything about it? Here's what they reply back. This matter is currently under investigation. As such, the district is legally required to protect the privacy of students and families and cannot share details regarding individual students or specific interests. What we can say is that student safety is a top priority and that all reports involving student safety are taken seriously. BS. That's nonsense. That's nonsense. This happened at the beginning of December. In a January 30th email is when you finally respond. That is not you taking the situation seriously. Pierce County Sheriff's Office told Brandy Cruz, the school resource officer informed me he was called by the school to investigate a report of sexual assault at a wrestling match. This incident allegedly happened during the match between the victim and the transgender student the victim was wrestling at the time. Last week, the school resource officer reviewed a video of the match, and he will follow up with the victim this week for further information. Stop. Last week? That's still 6 weeks after it happened. Why did nobody talk to the authorities about this? So now you have a coach who knew. The school knew. And now they are on the legal hook for reporting this. Under Washington state law, public school employees and private school employees, by the way, are mandatory reporters if they suspect a child has been abused in any way. That obligation extends to accusations of sexual assault committed by other students, regardless of whether the teacher, coach, or staff members find those accusations to be credible or provable. Failure to report such information to law enforcement is a gross misdemeanor, punishable by up to a year in jail, a $5,000 fine, or both. Here's something else. Do you remember last year there was a really bad bill in the Washington state legislature that was trying to give schools more time, staff more time to circle the wagons with cases like this and not inform a parent immediately if something happened to their kids? This story intersects with both the initiatives that we're trying to make into state law here in Washington, one which already was, and the Democrats undid. What's the first one? Keeping boys out of girls' sports. By the way, if a girl had done this, it's just as bad, which is why I told you the story of what happened with that camp counselor. It's just as bad. And now parental rights. Not telling parents what happens, not reporting it to authorities. It should be, of course we're going to deal with this. But you guys are such woke morons that you're saying, oh, this might trigger somebody. This is sexual assault, or I should say alleged sexual assault. That's what this is. This should be reported immediately. Why wasn't it? Why wasn't it? It's beyond crazy to me that this went unreported for so long. Do you remember the case out in Virginia? This is the one where parents showed up to protest against the school board because of the curriculum. And one dad was arrested, screaming and yelling, and the Biden administration turned him into the poster child for, oh, these parents, they're domestic terrorists. You know why that dad was there? Because his daughter had been assaulted in the girls' bathroom by a boy who identified as a girl. These are not isolated incidents. There are dozens and dozens of these cases that have been documented. And now we're seeing it here in Washington also. Gee, you send a boy into a wrestling match against a girl. Are we surprised something like this happened? Are we shocked that a school here in Washington didn't take this seriously and instead tried to cover it up? And it wasn't until the media got involved that then they decide to do something about it? This is why people like Lori Jenkins down in Olympia don't want people like me, Brandy Cruz, Jonathan Cho reporting on this stuff, because the rest of the media isn't covering it at all. And if you bring the stories to them, they're not going to do it because they're worried about the PR aspect of how it looks and the woke brigade protesting them. This is a story that should have been in the Seattle Times. This is a story that should be on any of the local TV outlets, Como, Cairo, Fox 13. And instead, Brandy's the one with it because Brandy's one of the few people covering stories like this. The Democrats don't want any holes in their narrative. This case could show how dangerous it is to have boys competing with girls, not just from a physical standpoint of the boys are bigger. The boys are genetically superior to girls as they get older and bigger. But from the fact that you put a boy wrestling against a girl, this was the worst nightmare. We thought the boxing was the worst nightmare. No, my friends, the wrestling was the worst nightmare. And now we have a documented case of this where now the police are involved, but they weren't involved until 2 months after it happened. The boy never should have been on that team in the first place. But if you want to have your woke nonsense, the boy should have been expelled right after that happened, like I talked about with the camp counselor. Should have been gone immediately. And instead, the school chose to cover it up. You guys better lawyer up because these parents are probably coming for everything the school has. And this is why it is so important to get the word out about protecting girls' sports and protecting parental rights. At 4:30 today, Jennifer Say, who used to be one of the former executives over at Levi's, she's going to join us. She now runs XXXY Athletics to talk about the fight to protect girls' sports and how her commercial yesterday, which wasn't even airing during the Super Bowl, got more hits than most of the commercials during the game. Because 90% of Americans believe that boys should not be competing in girls' sports. And yet this small cadre of woke lunatics wants to keep it happening. Pat says over on the text line, Ari, if some straight guy grabbed her in the school hallway, he'd be tried and sentenced already. Exactly right. But we have a different set of rules because they identify a different way. This is insane. What happened to all the feminists standing up for girls' rights for sports? They're all gone. You don't hear anything from them. Not at all. It is beyond crazy to me that we have gone to a point where everybody's worst fears have been confirmed in a case like this. And it was independent journalism that brought it to everybody because the mainstream media is too scared to touch it. Too scared of the woke brigade coming after them. This whole incident is shameful, and worse yet, it was preventable. It could have been stopped. The school, the coach, everybody better lawyer up because I hope that this family owns the school after this is done. And still, it won't make this girl's life any better because she has to live with the trauma for the rest of her life of what allegedly happened to her. And it hurts me that I even have to say the word allegedly because it hasn't been proven in a court of law yet. Shameful. Absolutely shameful. We go to the Warrior Injury Law Studio line, take a call from Leslie in Tacoma. Leslie, what's going on?
Hey there, Ari. So I didn't hear in your report that the parents notified law enforcement. Seems like me as the parent, I would have immediately notified law enforcement and get that ball rolling.
I'm going to check in because you're not wrong. I did notice that as well when I first read it, but I didn't want to judge that because for all we know, they did. And nothing was done till the media reached out.
Oh.
I don't know that for sure. I really don't. I don't know either way. I will clarify that tonight, though, okay?
Okay.
Yeah, because I want to check up on that. I had that question as well.
Okay. Yeah, that would that's all I'm saying is that it seems like they would start with LEO. Someone touch my daughter like that, I'm right away.
Let me check and find out. But also, it's the kind of thing where sometimes you need the school to be supportive in investigation. If the school's not giving you what you need or hiding whatever it is, I don't know how much you can even go. I'm not defending one way or the other, but what I am saying is let me get clarification on that for you. Okay, Leslie?
Okay, well, appreciate it.
All right, you take care now. Appreciate the call. Appreciate you being part of the show. You want to be part of the show, you give us a call or text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. When we come back, more school news. Looks like Harvard is now on the outs with the military. The military is saying, we don't want to deal with you guys anymore because of your discrimination. That plus more of your calls. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KBR. By the way, Green Day playing American Idiot at the Super Bowl while protesting ICE is the biggest self-own ever. The NFL's thinking, by the way, oh, they're mad about the Bad Bunny. Quick, let's get Green Day. That'll calm down the conservatives, right? Give me a break. Meanwhile, one of our wonderful KVI listeners sent this to me. It's a video from Sacagawea Middle School in Federal Way on Friday. It clearly shows the staff just organizing, standing by, being part of this rally of kids. Now, what's fascinating about this one is in the past, you see the kids marching with the signs, walking along. But what I find funny about this particular video, the kids are running around like tackling each other in the background or fighting with each other in the background. Looks like most of them aren't participating in this anti-ICE protest at all. But then the school security guard starts trying to get rid of the mom because she's videoing this whole thing. Give a listen.
I know this is I can do what I want. This is public property. Shouldn't they be in school? According to the I know, but they should be in school. Do the parents know that they're out here?
You hear the kids running around the background? That doesn't sound like anti-ICE chants. That sounds like they're all running around chasing each other, which is exactly what's happening in the background. So like we talk about all the time, the kids wanted an excuse to leave the building, and you gave it to them. Parents are going to yank their kids out of school. A bunch of parents have already spoken to me. I'd say about a dozen parents have told me that they've pulled their kids out of school. And I say, be an example. Let's go. Come on, let's publicize this. And they go, no. We don't want the heat. We just want our kid in a safe environment. We don't want our kid being brainwashed anymore. We don't want the heat. Now, I respect that. I understand that, especially when you come on my show. We know there's certain people who listen to my show to cause problems, but they're going to lose more kids, and kids are tied to federal funding. And when they lose funding, we know what happens. Now, Seattle Public Schools has a new superintendent. His name is Ben Scholdinger, and they have an $87 million budget shortfall. Last year, remember, they were going to close 9 schools, and they decided not to because they decide, hey, let's go to the Washington State Legislature and get bailed out instead, and that's exactly what happened. So because of their own financial mismanagement, they now want the government to bail them out. So now when you have $87 million budget shortfall, they're saying we're not going to get bailed out. We're not going to close schools again. I got to tell you, the school near my house, Graham Hill Elementary, used to be a traffic nightmare getting through there, but there's so few kids these days, it's really not so bad. I can go through there during drop-off and pickup on this very narrow street, no problem. So I ask, how many kids is it going to take before they realize they have to start closing schools? Because it's getting that bad, or are they just relying on bailouts instead of closing the schools? We go to the Warrior Injury Law Studio line, take a call from our frenemy, Bennett, the protester. Bennett, are you a Seahawks fan?
I'm a rioting fan, so this is literally the Super Bowl for me.
You're not one of the violent types. Come on, man. You're going to be at the parade with a sign. What's it going to say?
Ice bet on the Patriots. F ice.
I
almost did that last night, actually. You were teasing some cocktails for State of the Union, so I have some guesses. Flaming Dr. Pepstein files.
Oh, boo. Boo.
Wait,
funny,
okay,
but no.
You'll like this one.
Yeah.
Sake bomb Iran to distract from the Epstein files.
You got to make them shorter. They got to be like 2 words, Bennett. You need like 2 words. You come back with a list tomorrow. What's on your mind for today? Then I got to run.
All right. You were talking on Friday about the Obama monkey video, the one that Trump shared. And you were talking about how, later in the day it came out that he meant to share a different video. And there was this clip that was included at the end from the other video where the Obama's head superimposed on the monkeys and all that stuff. So I understand what you're saying, that some other facts came out later and it's not clear if he did it or somebody else. Here, I think, is the real problem and something that you didn't talk about on the show. The morning that it happened, Caroline Leavitt came out and said, oh, it was just Trump sharing a video of a Lion King parody. Everybody needs to stop with the fake outrage. She, at the time she said that, thought he had actually did it. And here's the problem. The bar is not just what Trump says and does, although that's already pretty low. The bar is what the people around him are prepared to defend and make excuses for.
So I'll actually give you.
Excuses for him.
I'm actually gonna hang on.
Bennett,
I'm gonna give you a better argument. I'm going to give you a better argument than the one you're making, because the people surrounding any president defend them like, oh, Biden's perfectly fine and Biden's perfectly up. Here's your better argument. Here's your better argument right here, okay? How come he didn't apologize? If it was fake or if it was attached or whatever the case may be, just say you're sorry and move on. Just say, I screwed up, I made this mistake, and move on. That's your better argument, Bennett. Look, you heard everything I said on Friday about this, but that, I believe, is actually your better argument, and one that actually a lot of conservatives, I think, it'll actually resonate with them. Appreciate the call, though. Appreciate you being part of the show. You want to be part of the show, you give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. Got 1 quick minute left for Paul in Seattle. Paul, make it quick, buddy. Got to run to the next segment. What's going on?
Hey, I just appreciate you bringing up the public schools because they don't teach history. You ask a kid what the Holocaust is, they cannot explain it to you anyway. And the schools are just NEA indoctrination centers. That's it. And if you got kids in the school, yank them, or your kids are going to grow up totally opposed to your values, your morals, and be a big problem when they become teenagers. So if you're smart, you'll yank them. If you keep them in there.
Yeah, I actually said to some friends of mine the other day, they said, oh, yeah, we're really excited because our kid applied to all the Ivy Leagues and we're excited they're going to get in. I said, you're Jewish. Are you insane? I said, are you out of your mind? I actually almost started yelling at them. Well, we want them to get a good education. I go, what good education? Are you kidding me? Yeah, Paul,
no,
I'm right there with you.
Indoctrination.
Exactly. You raise your kid a certain way and then you're forcing them to go to these schools? That's crazy. Got a whole lot more to discuss as the show continues, my friends. When we come back, Jennifer Say from XXXY Athletics with the viral Super Bowl commercial will be joining us. She'll tell us what it was all about and what happened and what we're standing for and what we're fighting against. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Well, my friends, it was a very entertaining Super Bowl for all of us living here in Seattle because we won. So, of course, that's going to be entertaining. But the thing I was not entertained by was the commercials. Now, mind you, there was one commercial from XXXY Athletics, which went viral online, and you may not have even seen during the game. Joining us now, the founder and CEO of XXXY Athletics, Jennifer Say. Thanks so much for being with us today.
Thanks for having me. And
such a
congrats
pleasure
on the big win.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that. I had very little to do with it. I guarantee you that. So you have this amazing athletic company that's gotten very, very, very popular. Tell us why you founded this whole thing and why you made the commercial.
Yeah, absolutely. The brand is XXXY Athletics. We are the only brand standing up for the protection of women's sports and spaces. We are here to actually really stand with and stand by female athletes. And I have a long history career as both an athlete. I was an elite gymnast as a child. I was on the national team for 8 years and a longtime fashion executive, mostly at Levi's, but other places as well. And I was looking around at the marketplace and all the other brands that pretend to stand up for women and make a lot of money off of pretending to stand up for women are not touching this issue. And I think this is the existential threat to women's sports. And I also think we all deserve a brand that aligns with our values. And, you know, we put our money where our mouth is. So we're brave and we really are standing up for female athletes on this issue, but every issue that could, you know, touch their athletic careers. It is of note that I was the first gymnast to speak out about abuse in the sport 20 years ago. So I've got a long history of trying to do right by female athletes. So we made the ad. Here's the part you may not know. That ad we actually made last year, and it went viral all over again yesterday, which is crazy. So we made this ad. We're not even 2 years old. We're just, you know, a month or two shy of 2 years old. We made this ad that's called Real Girls Rock, and we made it last year, right on February 1st. It was in honor of National Women and Girls in Sports Day, which is February 5th or 4th, I think. And it really was just sort of meant to kind of honor the hard work and everything that women put into becoming the very best they can be. And what we also reflect in the ad is for those women that do stand up for the protection of their own sports and spaces, they endure harassment on top of all the other challenges that you face when you're training, you know, the early mornings and late nights and injuries and all of that. And it went viral last year because J.K. Rowling shared it on X. And then it just popped up again yesterday. It was crazy. And I think what is notable, which you referenced, is our ad was trending on X all day yesterday. And we were the only ad that anybody was talking about on X when all these other brands spent $10 million just for a 30-second ad during the Super Bowl, and nobody was talking about them, which is the goal, right? You want people talking about your ads, but they were talking about our ad, which is a year old. So it's kind of, and of course we spent way less than what they spend on making the ad. The 10 million is just for the media. They spent another 10 million on top of it to make the ad, and we spent zero on media, and we were the most talked about. So I think we won the Super Bowl.
I think you did. I was kind of laughing, actually, because there was a Levi's commercial during the Super Bowl. And I remember seeing it and going, oh, that's an odd one, just staring at everybody's butts. And I don't think they're going to beat other jeans companies doing that. But I said, it's amazing that the person who used to run this stuff over at Levi's has this commercial. It's now going viral for a fraction of the amount of money. And I think it's really because it's resonating with Americans. I mean, protecting women's sports is an 80-20 issue. This battle was seemingly had years ago, decades ago, in fact, and now we're having it again. And the question everybody seems to be asking is, why are we having this battle again? I thought we already protected women's sports. And yet now today out of Washington, our friend Brandy Cruz came out with a news story about a female wrestler who is being sexually abused by a male opponent. I mean, the stories we're having are absolutely insane. And it's crazy to me that so many people are on the other side of this issue.
Well, they're not. That's the thing. There aren't very many people on the other side, but the public expression, the institutions are on the wrong side of this issue. The people, I would argue, are on the right side. You know, the latest polls would show 80% of Americans are on our side. I think it's higher. I think it's closer to 90%. Even in California, it's like 75%. So most people have the good common sense to say, yes, girls deserve their own sports and spaces. We decided this in 1972 with the passage of Title IX. And no, Title IX did not mean men who think they are women. That's not what it meant. It was not gender identity. It was sex. On the basis of sex is what it literally says in that legislation. So, but you've got, all of the legacy media touting this view that trans women are women and it's mean to exclude them. P.S. They're not excluded; they can compete in men's. And so I think what it feels like in the ether is that the mainstream opinion or the right opinion is, let's let these guys compete in women's sports. But the fact is we the people. I mean, you guys know in Washington, you got this on the ballot.
Yeah.
Because most people agree with us. We're fighting to do that right now in Colorado, where I live, because it's just normal to think that women deserve their own sports and spaces. So, but the powers that be and the institutions, and I will say the trans activists are very loud and very bullying, and so it can be scary to stand up. So there ends up being this sort of like manufactured consensus that's a lie. It feels like the people on the other side of the issue are winning, and they're not winning. We're winning.
I would agree with you. We're talking with Jennifer Say, who's the CEO and founder of XXXY Athletics. Now, you were out here in Washington discussing protecting women's sports, discussing protecting parental rights, and you're going to get a warm reception from people like me, but it seems like the opposition didn't even really show up this time. Do you think that they're starting to realize the battle is lost, or do you think they just don't have any ground to stand on, which is why they won't hear these initiatives in the Washington state legislature?
It's a hard one. I was on the steps of the Supreme Court at the rally on January 13th, the day that oral arguments were heard, and two Supreme Court cases that center around this issue. And we had amazing speakers that were, inspiring and speaking common sense. And there was a counter protest right next to us. And all they did was play really loud music to try to drown us out because they have no argument. What's the argument? The argument is be nice. Well, no, it's not nice to further a lie. It's not nice to tell boys they're girls. And it's not nice to tell girls to shut up and be quiet. You don't get to have your own sport. So no, I refuse to do that. And I think they are seeing that they are losing. That said, we still have a battle on our hands nationally here. 27 states have laws on the books. The Supreme Court will decide if they can keep those laws on the book. That does nothing about the 23 other states. We need to do it state by state, just like you guys are doing in Washington, and get state legislation. And then I think ultimately we need federal legislation, which just basically reifies Title IX and says the intent of Title IX was to protect women's and girls' rights, actual, real women, not the people that say they're women that aren't. So it's hard to say what they're thinking. I mean, you're saying no one showed up at the counter protest, but then can I just tell you something that happened this weekend in Colorado? So we're out trying to get signatures for a similar ballot initiative, and there were some little old lady grandmas sitting outside of the grocery store who were harassed and bullied. Their table was overturned. A man laid hands on one of these older women, called them the worst names in the book. They had to go home, and they came back the next day. God bless them. But they did show up there to try to intimidate these poor little old ladies into going home and not collecting signatures. So I do think they're becoming increasingly more unhinged because they feel that they are losing.
Gotcha. Yeah, I would tend to agree. So just before we let you go, since you had the most viral video of the Super Bowl without it even being in the Super Bowl, do you think it was really because so many of these ads I was watching yesterday, I'm just like, this is garbage. Were they created with AI? I know they were all for AI. I'm not asking you to bash anybody else's business, but it seems like there was a real lack of creativity. Yours pulled at the heartstrings. Yours gave you action. Yours gave you interest. And there were so few that were memorable. I even had to spend a few minutes going through YouTube to remember which ones from my review of the commercials today. Do you think it's that yours was also emotional and action-packed and struck with the political bend in it?
Yeah, I think you summarized it well. I mean, there's real consumer insight at the heart of ours. There's like a real emotional truth. That's the key to good advertising. I would argue most of the ads just threw as many celebrities in as possible, but there was no idea. There was no sort of theme or consumer insight or like a resonant idea. And a resonant idea can make you laugh. It can make you cry. It can make you mad. It could make you want to eat chicken. It doesn't matter. But there was no idea at the heart of any of these ads. They're just like, let's put Ben Affleck and Jennifer Aniston and every star we can think of. I mean, that Dunkin' Donuts ad, I don't even really understand. Like, and it didn't make me want donuts, which at the end of the day, that's the point. And so I just think that all the creativity is lost, all of the kind of insight is lost, and it's just superficial slop at this point.
I would agree. I think it's really sad that the only commercial I can really remember aside from yours is the one about a prostate exam. And I think that's a real sad state of events or affairs of what's going on with our Super Bowl ads. Yeah, that was.
I don't remember that one. I might have left the room for that.
Yeah, that was the one that stood out in my room.
I can see why that would stand out. I just remember, I mean, like I had to go look them up after as well. I mean, that one that was for Pokemon, I think, had like 1 million celebs in, but I was thinking to myself, what are they selling? I don't even understand what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a big fail. And I will tell you, an ad with that many celebrities in it, the ad production alone was probably $7 or $10 million.
Right. And
that's
yet,
insane.
We don't even know what it was for. That's what's crazy about it. Yours, clear, concise, to the point, action-packed, pulls at the heartstrings. Jennifer Say from XXXY Athletics. Check them out. Wear the shirt proudly. Buy the gear, my friends. It's great stuff. Jennifer, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me, and congrats on the win.
Thank you so much. Congrats on your win yesterday as well. We got a whole lot more to discuss as the show continues. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. My friends, now is your chance to win two tickets to Lionel Richie and Earth, Wind, and Fire at Climate Pledge Arena on August 3rd. All you have to do is text the word Boogie, BOOGIE, to 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. When we come back, the latest from the Super Bowl. Talk to young Zach. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Welcome to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI, your home for the politically homeless, streaming live at KVI.com and the KVI app. If you want to be part of the most dangerous show on the airwaves, call or text the Warrior Injury Law Studio line at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Coming up this hour, another chance to win tickets to see Lionel Richie and Earth, Wind, and Fire at Climate Pledge Arena. But before we get to any of that, young Zach is driving back from the Seahawks win at the Super Bowl, and he joins us now on the Warrior Injury Law Studio line. Young Zach, have you had any sleep in the past, 3-4 days?
No. No. Short answer, no.
Okay.
But I just pointed at the Oregon Ducks football stadium with a very particular finger of my hand, so I feel invigorated.
All right. So you're coming back, and I want to point out a few things you posted to the KVI socials last night. So, of course, watching the Seahawks win, awesome, amazing. We'll get to that in a second. But my first thing for you is you posted a video to the KVI social media accounts, which you can go see over on the accounts right now, which is the Bad Bunny performance. And it looked like nobody in that stadium was enjoying it at all.
Yeah. It was silent, quiet. People were confused. I've been arguing with people on the KVI Twitter X account. People said, no, that's them setting up. No, that was mid-show. It was that just lackluster as far as the crowd. And it wasn't that people were protesting. I had the Turning Point All-American halftime show pulled up in the press box. I wanted to make sure Turning Point made it inside the big game, but people were just confused. They'd never heard these songs before. They didn't know, short of the Lady Gaga surprise appearance, no one knew the special guests. I guess Ricky Martin was out there, but he didn't sing any, he wasn't living La Vida Loca, so none of us knew it was Ricky Martin. It was just not for us. It was just not for the folks in the stadium. Maybe there's some people who enjoyed it elsewhere, but whatever, 80,000 people in there had no clue what was going on.
Well, actually, just to second what you said, it was clearly designed for TV. Like when The Weeknd did his thing with no fans in the stadium or whatever it was during COVID,
Yeah.
it was clearly designed for TV. So people in the stadium, it wasn't like a concert was going on. It's him running through a maze of people dressed as bushes.
Yeah, the bushy people. It was well, they didn't move. I thought they'd do some fun dances, but it was just a human corn maze.
So what you're saying is it's all the
it
people
was
who
like, hey,
signed up. It's all the people who signed up to be a tree in their school play, just permanent, right?
Yeah, it's finally their time to shine. It was this is how I'd advertise that halftime show. It's like, hey, would you like to watch a guy you don't know walk through a fake maze?
Now, hang on.
I would answer enthusiastically no.
You had some other good lines, like best Super Bowl to ever take a leak at, or whatever.
Yeah.
My favorite one of yours, of course, was
for the team. I took one for the team. I knew I had to be present for that, so I had to go to the restroom during the game. And that first half, Ari, that was an exciting first half. There was so much happening.
It was indeed. My favorite line of yours, though, that you put on the KVI Twitter account was, you hadn't heard a room this silent since the 2016 election night, which I thought was your best line of the night.
And Nancy Pelosi was in the house.
Okay, let's talk about the game. So the crowd itself, would you say there were more 12s? Or would you say there was a balance? What do you think it was?
No, it was, I'd say 80-20. It felt like a home game. The merch, the Seahawks merch sold out before the game started. Patriots merch, very much available. Aggressively available, some have said. But Seahawks merch is gone. And it was, there's just blue everywhere. Seahawks chants started before the game gets going. The Patriots never had a chance when it came to the fan base and the crowd.
Amazing. Were they doing all the stuff you see here at home, where they were booing and yelling when the Seahawks were on defense trying to hurt the offense? Was it like that?
Oh yeah, and I got a chance to ask I don't know how any of this happened. I'm so grateful I got to go to this. I got to go to the MVP and head coach press conference after the game. And there wasn't really any local media in the room, so I got to ask Kenneth Walker and Mike McDonald about the fans, and that's what Mike McDonald said. Coach Mike McDonald said it's not Lewin Field, but it sure was close.
That's awesome. I didn't even realize that was your question. That's pretty awesome. Now we have to pull up the audio for that when you get back.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't know is my question because no one credited me for it. But they owe me. I'm keeping tabs of who's taking credit for my work.
Well, I didn't post it yet, so now I know. That's young Zach's question right there. Now, tell us about the weekend leading up to the Super Bowl, because the last time we talked to you on Friday, how'd you spend the weekend, and how many miles did you have to walk to get to the stadium?
Well, yeah, that was a real disaster. A real disaster. The hotel I booked, I had a very set plan on how to get to the game, and they have a little light rail system. It normally does drop you off right at the stadium, but we got off. We had to go to stadium, and then they say, well, the streets are closed, and we're not letting the light rail any closer to the stadium today. So you have to get on a city bus that then takes you about a 15-minute ride to the other side of the stadium on freeways and side streets and all this sort of stuff because so many things are blocked off. And then you could walk into the stadium. So really not the best logistics, I felt. I don't know if that's on the NFL or the city or who, but it was really a secure facility. I can assure you of that.
That's crazy. That's really, really crazy. And getting in, it was like getting into the RNC kind of deal?
Yeah, you thought the conventions had a radius, Ari. This is miles of a secure perimeter.
Crazy stuff. All right, so now the game's over. Seahawks win. Were there after parties? Were there celebrations? What happened afterwards?
Well, so after the game, they do the trophy presentation like everyone sees on television, and I got to interview some fans. I'll try to cut up some audio and bring you their words exactly, but there was just so many
Zach
for kind of network guys, and then thankfully, us radio folk, they put in what they called auxiliary press. And that was like the last two rows of the 200 section, and so there's fans all around us, both sides, both teams, and I got to just as soon as kind of we're waiting for the trophy to come out, start talking to 12s. And talked to one guy. He's stationed at Bremerton right now. He was deployed during the last Super Bowl. And he said the TV that he had access to overseas was really fuzzy, really grainy. And he missed the outcome of that, the play I won't mention. So He said, I thought we won that Super Bowl. He said, I was convinced at that moment we won the Super Bowl because it was so hard to make out the picture. Of course, we did not win that one, but then he said, and now I get to be here in the stadium to watch them win this one. So there's so many special moments like that, and just the people just sitting around me. There were so many cool stories. There were more people who had an interesting story about how they got to the Super Bowl or why they're there or who they're with. It wasn't – I expected a bunch of rich people who just were apathetic about the game and wanted to come hang out because it's the Super Bowl. But it was really diehard fans from both teams.
That's awesome. Now, a reminder to everybody, the parade is on Wednesday. We're going to have more details about the parade later in the show, but KVI, along with our sister stations, will be out at the parade. We're going to be in the Jiffy Lube parking lot, which is on 4th Avenue. So if you want to come see us, we're going to be at the parade. Zach, safe travels back, and hopefully I'll see you tomorrow, buddy, okay?
I will see you tomorrow.
All right, fantastical. That's young Zach driving back from the Super Bowl as we speak. Really appreciate him joining us with all that. Well, back to things that are happening here in Washington. We got some breaking news for you right now, and it's not good, my friends.
Talk Radio 570 KVI. Breaking news on the Ari Hoffman Show.
Washington Senate Democrats have passed the income tax on everybody bill out of committee, despite it being the most unpopular bill in Washington state history, with over 61,000 people registering against this thing. So that means they are pushing forward with this thing no matter what. It's going to be tied up in court. Now, they haven't finally voted on it, and the House has to vote on it, and Bob Ferguson has to sign it. Here's what you guys got to do. You got to melt the phone lines again. And you got to say, if you pass this, I will do everything in my power to make sure that you are never elected again. You need to say that nicely, of course. Now, what you need to do, this one takes a little work, okay? You could call the Washington Legislative Hotline at 1-800-562-6000. But that's not going to get you as much as you want. What you need to do is actually look up who your representative is. Look up who that person is and call their office and tell them that. then you might have a chance of stopping this. And say, I will run against you. I will do my darndest to make sure that you never hold office again. On Friday, tons of people showed up to testify against this insanity. One of them was Brian Haywood. Now, during his testimony, there was this great moment. Nick Hanauer is one of the original Amazon gajillionaires. Nick Hanauer is one of the guys who funneled millions of dollars into keeping the Climate Commitment Act, so your gas prices are so high. This is a guy who funneled millions of dollars into stopping all the initiatives he possibly could. Well, guess what? Nick Hanauer and his millions, according to Brian Haywood, are no longer in Washington. He moved after making life worse for the rest of us. What do you think is going to happen with the other millionaires and billionaires?
In my position, I've got options. I can change my domicile, I can move my business, I can restructure my income to avoid it. That's the truth. And even this person that just testified has every option to do that. In fact, in just the past 2 weeks, I've heard from directly or listened or heard about over 50 couples who are already in the process of or soon to be changing their domicile out of this state, including one that you all have heard of, probably the loudest Democrat in Seattle named Nick Hanauer, who's changing his domicile. The people who truly get crushed, though, are Washington's 637,000 small business owners, farmers, contractors, doctors, tech founders, who run pass-through companies. A great year, a big sale, or even a one-time payout pushes their personal income over $1 million, triggering a 10% hit they can't easily avoid. But if everyone in this room are forced to testify under a truth machine somehow, if we'll all just sort of hear what was the honest thing, what we know is this is not about tax control.
Thank you, Mr. Haywood. Your time is up, and if you could go back to the row with the
just cut him right off there, huh? Didn't like that he called out your millionaire buddy, Nick Hanauer, who funds all your campaigns and all these efforts against the initiatives, for moving out of Washington so he wouldn't get hit by the taxes. Brian Haywood stayed here to fight. Nick Hanauer left and left all of us holding the bag for his bad policies. Oh, but, you know, it's just bots who registered against this thing. Just 61,000 bots, right? Just bots. Fox 13. I can't tell the difference between Fox 13 and King 5 these days. I barely ever rely on Fox 13 for news anymore. It has gotten so bad and so left, I wonder if it's even a Fox affiliate anymore. Fox 13 platformed some random person, probably from SEIU, down there at the Washington State Capitol, to just say, oh, it's all bots. Nobody's really against this income tax.
They contend as of 9 a.m., a staggering 54,000 people have signed on in opposition of it. There's going to be a lot of those 50,000 people were bots, potentially. So, you know, I think when you actually look at the IP addresses and who's actually signing in, it's everyday Washingtonians who are in support of tax fairness.
That is not true. Can you prove it as bots? Do you have anything to back that up? And when Democrats were challenged on this because they were all giving the same talking point, none of them could back it up. Here's what I got on my side. Aside from the fact that I know everybody I know testified against this thing and registered against this thing, but also here, Washington has voted against an income tax, and Washington State loves taxes. As recently as 2 years ago, they collected initiatives to get this thing in front of the Washington State legislature, and the Washington State legislature, that was 500,000 people, by the way, and the Washington State legislature passed a bill saying, yeah, we're not going to have an income tax, and they're doing it anyway. Any time this thing has come on the ballot, Washington votes against it. You want to say it's just bots? Prove it. Prove it. What Brian Haywood said, the Democrats should be petrified of. A new survey from the Association of Washington Businesses finds that Washington employers are growing more pessimistic about the state economy and increasingly open to leaving. According to their winter 2026 Washington Employer Survey, 44% of business leaders said they are considering moving their personal residence out of Washington, most often naming Arizona, Idaho, Montana, or Wyoming. Separately, the share of employees considering moving their businesses out of state nearly doubled over the past year from 9% to 17%. Respondents most frequently cited taxes and the rising cost of living as the reasons. AWB's president Chris Johnson said the trend reflects a deeper slide in confidence that hasn't rebounded since lawmakers approved what AWB and partner groups described as the largest tax increase in state history last year. Washington employers are growing more pessimistic, largely because of the rising tax burden, warning that small and mid-sized businesses are under severe strain as lawmakers debate additional taxes. The survey shows taxes remain the top challenge for employers, followed closely by healthcare costs and government regulation. All of these things are related. While concern about inflation has eased compared to a year ago, you can thank Trump for that. The report lands as Democrats in Olympia are pushing the income tax that would put a 9.9% tax on annual income above $1 million. A plan supporters claim is a millionaire tax. And anybody who actually understands this thing knows it is just opening the door for the tax that is going to hit the rest of us. It's not bots testifying against these things. It's people who don't want to leave. People who say it's so unaffordable now, you're going to hit us with another tax to keep up your insane spending on self-service rooms for men that they fund as art galleries, as trans surgeries for felons, so that you can spend on dumb things like that on trains that not a lot of people take, so you can spend on that. Now, Cairo 7 had an article about how gas prices fell nationwide for the third straight year in 2025, but Washington drivers continue to pay some of the highest prices in the U.S. According to analysis published by the Washington Post, that was cited by the White House for the fact that these blue states are doing this to themselves. The average national price for a gallon of regular gasoline dropped 21 cents in 2025 to $3.10, according to the Energy Information Administration. Most of the country saw similar prices, all below the national average. The exception, Washington, Oregon, California. You guys going to try blaming that on refineries again? You going to try blaming that on fuel mixtures when literally the states right next to us don't have these problems? Oh, worse yet, California does get to blame it on refineries soon enough. They have made it so painful for refineries to even operate in California that Chevron, Shell, and other companies are shutting down their refineries in California, focusing on ones in other states, which now means our gas is going to be even more expensive because now you have to get it from farther away. Thanks a lot, Democrats. Trump is bringing down gas prices. You're doing everything you can to jack them back up. When we come back, my friends, something that is free is coming up is the Seahawks parade on Wednesday. We're going to tell you where we're going to be. We're also going to have some more details for you. And will there be riots? But before we get to any of that, Todd Herman's Daily Thoughtcast right now on the Ari Hoffman Show. Welcome back to the Ari Hoffman Show. Just want to remind everybody, we started the show with only 25 spots left for Steak of the Union, which means we are almost sold out for our Daniel's Broiler State of the Union experience. You get to see a live broadcast of the Ari Hoffman Show and enjoy some delicious steaks from Daniel's Broiler. Only 25 spots left. I expect them to be gone by the end of the show, so make sure you sign up at KVI.com. Head there right now. Sign up at KVI.com because we will not have extras. The room is only so big. Sign up now at KVI.com. That's KVI.com. Well, my friends, with the Seahawks winning the big game, am I allowed to say Super? I don't know if I can say that word or not. Joining us now in studio with the latest updates on the parade is our senior sports reporter for Northwest News Radio, the one and only Jeff Pogel.
Wait, before we get to that, though, are we talking ribeyes, T-bones?
Wait a second. I want to make sure I say this right. It's New York steaks. That's
Okay.
what I've been told. They're New York steaks.
I'll take any kind of steak.
Yes, dead cow. Lots of dead cow. In fact, Jeff, you've been gone the last week, so you didn't hear all
vacation,
this.
yeah.
They are bringing in a kosher steak for me at Daniel's Broiler.
Okay.
And there's all these drinks that are going to have really awesome names that you will be super offended by. But they're going to be
Why would I be
awesome.
offended by them?
Well, because they're all like, on my side of the aisle.
I'm not on anyone's side of the aisle.
You're
We're
not.
not even talking politics
That's
today.
very true. They're fun, they're entertaining, and they're awesome. And there's one that I suggested that I don't think is going to make the cut. I said we should have margarita on ice, right? I don't think that's going to make the cut. I think I'm going to get in trouble with our sponsor. I do things like that. Yes.
So you wanted to talk about sports.
Sure, let's talk about sports. Let's talk about the Seahawks. Let's do that.
And I find this funny. You bring me in to talk about the Seahawks, and you're wearing your 12 jersey today.
I am a full bandwagon fan.
Yes, and you have told me on many occasions in the past that you're not much of a football guy. You're a baseball guy.
Yes, absolutely. So here's the thing. You may not know this, but Mike and I had a thing where I couldn't wear my jersey all season because I hadn't worn it till that point, and we were worried about jinxing the Seahawks. Okay. Now, my listeners are concerned that I'm jinxing them for next season by putting on all the gear now. I go, guys, the season isn't
have a
over.
day to celebrate?
Well, that's what I'm saying. The season is over when the parade is over. Then you can worry about next season. All right, Jeff, tell us about the parade.
Well, the parade will be happening on Wednesday, and it starts early in the morning. I mean, if you were around in 2014, when the last time the Seahawks won a Super Bowl, not against the New England Patriots, that was 2015.
Yes. We don't want to talk about that. No, we don't talk about that.
But when they won in 2014, we had the parade, and it was a similar format. You had a rally, the Lombardi Trophy presentation and all that at Lumen Field, and then from there, you do a march to Seattle Center in downtown Seattle. Last time, 12 years ago, about 750,000 people showed up. Mm-hmm. They are expecting this year that much, if not more, could be closer to 1 million people lining the streets of downtown Seattle for the Super Bowl victory parade for the Seattle Seahawks.
Wow. Now, I didn't notice this, but the parade route is actually in reverse of last time. Mm-hmm. Last time they started at Seattle Center, and they came and ended at the stadiums. Mm-hmm. Do you know what this is all about?
I don't know the logistics of it, but I would surmise that, you start with the rally, where all the fans are, probably 70-some thousand, whatever the capacity is for Lumen Field. And then from there, them and everyone else takes part in the rally moving up to Seattle Center, or the march, I should say, the parade. And it's going to be a big one. And security, obviously, a very tight, very concerned, very tight. You're going to see a lot of bicycle barricades. Mm-hmm. Police are going to be heavily involved. Not that they're expecting anything to go wrong, but anytime you get 750,000 people in one location, it's a big security event and a lot of logistics. But they're trying to make sure everything goes off safe without a hitch. And it all starts with doors opening at Lumen Field at 8:30 on Wednesday morning. Tickets, you might ask.
Yes.
They're all gone.
They're all gone already.
For the rally, yes. Now, for the parade, you can, just show up.
Sure.
Of course, space is going to be at a premium. You'll probably want to get there early.
Yeah.
But, the tickets sold out very, very quickly this morning for the rally at Lumen Field.
Wait a second. Are they doing what they did last time? Last time, this was kind of entertaining. They opened up T-Mobile, or back then it was Safeco. They opened up the stadium, but they only opened up the lower level. And when I asked why last time for the overflow crowd, it had something to do with the bathrooms. like the pipes are winterized and they're not open on the upper floors. So because of the bathroom situation, they couldn't use the upper floors. They could only use the lower ones.
I have not heard anything about Safeco Field. I mean, but as we're still 2 days away or a day and a half away from this, logistics, I'm guessing, depending on how many people they expect, might change. They might do something. I don't know. I haven't heard anything about Safeco or whatever we call it now, T-Mobile Park.
Now, there's a whole bunch of changes from last time. Last time they used the ducks. They're not using the ducks this time. What are they using instead?
A few things, but they're not really saying a lot. They want it to be a surprise. So we'll see what's in store. But you can imagine some... I don't know that there's going to be a lot of floats because you've had, a day to put together a float.
Well, Seafair stuff got to be set. Seafair's running this shit.
I was just about to say, Seafair is putting on the show. What is Seafair involved in the Seahawks? Why are they there, you might ask? Well, Seafair is producing the event. They are the ones that handle all of the logistics because they put together big events like this every year for Seafair, the Torchlight Parade, all of that stuff. So they have experience doing this. Seahawks have some experience, but it was 12 years ago.
Well, are there going to be bounce houses? Because I know who used to be the vendor for bounce houses for Seafair.
Well, let me ask you this. Would you put a bounce house on concrete in downtown?
I've done it before. In fact, you know what's sitting in my house? I have a Seahawks bounce house. I'm sorry, I'm not allowed to say that. I have a Hawk house. It is
a Seattle football house.
Exactly. I have a Seattle football house that's green and actually it's green and blue, not blue and green. Had to do everything in reverse. But yes, there is one. There is one sitting around. Exactly right. Any other surprises in store? Are there giveaways? Do fans get rings? How does this work?
I don't think fans get rings. I mean, no. That you imagine how. Have you ever seen a Super Bowl ring?
I have seen one. I have worn one.
They are fancy. They are expensive. I've worn an NBA championship ring, not a Super Bowl ring, but either way, any of the rings that they put together for the major leagues and their championships, not cheap.
Not cheap.
But every player and typically every member of the front office staff will get one.
That's pretty awesome. Now, just before we let you go, Jeff, last time they stuck the Lombardi Trophy at the Mopop or whatever they were calling it back then. Have they discussed where this thing is going at all?
Well, all of this is still being worked out. I mean, they just started planning this morning.
Gotcha.
So they had some contingency plans, but more details are coming out as they finalize what's going to happen. But obviously, the Lombardi Trophy is going to be a big, big thing. That's going to be leading the parade route, I would assume, down, I believe it's 4th Avenue. But it's going to be a blast if you're a 12. And
That's
tomorrow,
awesome.
or not tomorrow, but Wednesday is going to be the day to, I would say, if you're not a 12, avoid downtown Seattle because traffic is already gridlocked to begin with.
Yes.
But you add 750,000 to 1 million people in downtown, it's going to be crazy.
Now, just a reminder, KVI is going to be out there with our sister stations, Northwest News Radio and Hank 101.5 on the parade route. We're going to be at the 4th Avenue Jiffy Lube parking lot. We're going to be over there. So if you want to come see me, Jeff, you going to be there?
I will be covering the parade, but I'm not sure where I'm going to be. I will be covering the event at Lumen Field, and then somewhere along the parade route, we'll have to see.
You might find us. Yes,
I might.
Exactly. And then I have to get back here for showtime and still prep a show. In fact, I turned down appearances on TV to be at the parade. They were actually asking me to come on Newsmax and a few other things. I'm like, guys, unless you want me broadcasting from the parade, I can't make it. So, yes, I chose
Or
the
you
Seahawks.
could do your hits wearing the 12th man jersey.
Well, you're so funny. You think I'm not going to come running back to the studio wearing the 12th man jersey with that flag behind me and do it right here? Of course I am. Jeff Pogula, senior sports reporter for Northwest
At least for
News
a day,
Radio.
anyway.
That's what I'm saying. For Northwest News Radio, our sister station. Do appreciate you joining us
Anytime.
today. Thanks so much. When we come back, my friends, the latest on the lawsuits and drama surrounding the press passes in Olympia. Looks like some of our federal officials are weighing in on this. We'll tell you what's going on when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Welcome back to the Ari Hoffman Show, and my friends, now is your next chance to win fantabulous prizes. Today we are giving away two tickets to Lionel Richie and Earth, Wind, and Fire at Climate Pledge Arena on August 3rd. All you have to do is enter the word I give you and send it to the number I give you. Do not send me your name. Do not send me your address. Do not send me your phone number. Do not say, Ari, you are the best-looking radio host in all the land. Don't do that. If you do any of those things, your little entry will not count. So all you have to do is enter the word boogie, B-O-O-G-I-E. That's boogie, B-O-O-G-I-E. Text it to 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Also, a reminder for everybody, we are almost out of spots for State of the Union. We started the show. We only had 25 left. I have no idea if they are gone or not. So what you have to do, if you don't want to be closed out of State of the Union, where you get to see a live broadcast of the Ari Hoffman Show, we're going to watch the State of the Union together, and we're going to enjoy some delicious Daniel's broiler steak. You have to go to kvi.com right now, because for all we know, those spots will be gone. I only had 25 left at the beginning of the show. We've been talking about the whole show. You don't want to miss out. Make sure you sign up right now. In other news going on here in Washington, you remember last week that, now it's 2 weeks ago for me, that the Washington State House denied me a press pass. Shortly thereafter, they denied one to Brandy Cruz and our friend Jonathan Cho. Well, now I also found out they denied one to the Linwood Times, Mario Lotmore, who runs that outlet over there, and our friend who's an influencer conspiracy cookie. They have denied press passes to all of us. Now, it'd be one thing if there are a ton of journalists and there's just no space and we all got there late in the session. No, it's because they don't like our coverage. So something interesting happened on Friday. We know that the Washington State Legislature, Lori Jenkins, Speaker of the House, denied the press passes to me and Brandy and Jonathan and the others because they say that we advocate for things, that we're not fair journalists because we advocate for things. Interesting. Because on Friday, there was a hearing about a tax that the Democrats want to put on tech companies to fund local media. And guess who was there advocating to fund local media? Well, a whole bunch of local media members, including Alan Fisco. We should call him Fiasco. Alan Fiasco, president of the Seattle Times. Here's what he said.
I'm Alan Fisco, President and CEO of the Seattle Times Company. As we all know, the state of the media organizations across the state is in a significant state of decline. Since 2004, we've lost a third of our newspapers across the state. Just yesterday, the Washington Post announced 500 layoffs, 300 of which came from their newsrooms. Washington State is not immune from this problem. We have to do everything we can to protect our journalism jobs that remain and provide incentives to grow the number of journalists in our state, and Senate Bill 5400 will do just that. The tweaks that were made will expand the tent and widen the tent for those who will qualify. The bill will not impact general funds negatively. The modest surcharge in some tech companies that we talked about would be a drop in the bucket compared to the billions that they've made, many of which from our news content that they've used without any compensation. Google made $124 billion last year. $6 million represents 0.0048% of their profits. If you use that same number for someone who's making $70,000, it comes out to be $3.36. Hardly a big lift for the tech platforms. Many news organizations would benefit from the package of this bill, from the passage, including the Seattle Times. One benefit is saved jobs, but the real winners are Washington residents. And informed citizenry is the foundation of our democracy, and that's what we try to do every single day. This will protect jobs. We strongly support Senate Bill 5400 and hope that you advance it out of committee for give us a chance to sustain and grow our vital community service missions.
So the Seattle Times is advocating for a tax on big tech. Oh, it'll just be pennies. Oh, I've heard that somewhere before. It won't be a lot. Just give us the money for the tax and give it to our dying newsroom, as opposed to going, here's my question I would have asked that guy. I would have said, excuse me, sir, why are you dying and the New York Post is expanding so much so that they are the only printed newspaper that is expanding, and they have now opened another branch in California? Why do you think you guys are dying? Maybe it's because your reporting sucks. Maybe it's because you guys are biased. Maybe it's because you guys are asking for handouts. Maybe it's because while you talk about affordability in your editorial section, your president is literally out there trying to make things less affordable. You talk about jobs, you put more taxes on these companies, they will leave. Many have already left. This was 90 seconds. By the way, I noticed they gave him more than 1 minute. They cut off Brian Haywood. They cut off me, but they give the guy from the Seattle Times more than 1 minute. This is a guy advocating. So, simple question for the Washington State Legislature. When is the Seattle Times going to lose their press passes? Because they just advocated for something along with a whole bunch of other outlets. You guys said if you advocate for a position, you are not a balanced journalist. So when is the Seattle Times going to lose their press passes? Look, do I think the Seattle Times should lose their press passes? Absolutely not. I think they should get one. I think the stranger should get one. I think I should get one. But if your rules are, if you advocate for a position, we're denying you a press pass, then guess what? You have to be consistent. And that's the president of the Seattle Times advocating for a position, advocating for your taxpayer money. Guys, I have a very simple equation for you. If they want your taxpayer money, they don't deserve your subscription fees. Is there a single piece of coverage that you can only get in the Seattle Times? No, of course not. Anything they do, you know my favorite thing is? They rip off people like me and Brandy all the time. They wait a few weeks, then put their own spin on it. When they can find an angle that sounds like it's coming from the left, that's when they publish it. You want to get the news first? You follow me on social media. You follow Brandy on social media. You follow Jonathan Cho on social media. You subscribe to the Center Square. You subscribe to Glenn Morgan. There are so many local outlets doing a good job out here, better, infinitely better than the Seattle Times. You should unsubscribe from the Seattle Times right now. And in fact, if you unsubscribe from the Seattle Times and text me a screenshot of it, I'll give you a little shout out on air. Or actually email it to me, so that way if I miss it today, before the end of the show, I can do it tomorrow. ARI@KVI.com. That's ARI@KVI.com. You send me a screenshot of you having unsubscribed from the Seattle Times, you will get the special music, and we will praise you to the heavens through our radio signal. Only good news to wrap up the show. Good news, including people who have unsubscribed from the Seattle Times. Good news headlines put a smile on your face heading into your evening commute. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Well, I can't promise that today. Wasn't last night the best freaking night of everybody's life in recent memory with the Seahawks winning? Man, it was awesome. I gotta play that clip of my daughter again after the Seahawks won, running out to the deck, trying to get some random neighbors we have no idea who they are chanting Seahawks. It's a lot of energy in that child. So, yes, that is how you make a fan for a life. That's, by the way, the second football game she has ever watched. The first one was the NFC Champions. She's going to be spoiled rotten. Look, I mean, years ago, my kids come to me, and they know I'm from New York, but I don't really talk about the Jets or Giants. So my kids come to me, and they say, Dad, these cute little boys, Dad, is it okay if we're Seahawks fans? Of course, boys. You'll be much happier in life. You could be Seahawks fans than being Jets fans. But really, it was amazing. Had a great time with my friends. Everybody's going to remember where they were. And a reminder for everybody that we are going to be out. KVI will be out at the parade on Wednesday. We're going to be at the Jiffy Lube, which is on 4th Avenue. Look up where it is. I don't know exactly where it is. More details when they're finalized, but we will be out there with the KVI tent. I will be out there, so swing by and say hi. Also, because we're in a mixed Seattle crowd, it's not like we're going to the events we normally go to. We're out in the wild. So who knows who might be there and not so happy to see me. So you might want to come on out and support KVI, and you can watch the parade with us. We'll have a spot right there at the Jiffy Lube over there on 4th Avenue. Come find us right there. We will be there for the parade. Come say hi and have my back. I think it's a good day to wear a certain vest that I own. Anyway, moving on from there. Also a reminder, at the beginning of the show today, I only had 25 spots left for Stake of the Union. We are going to sell out. We might be sold out. I hope we're not sold out already. Sign up as soon as possible for Stake of the Union. Otherwise, you're going to get closed out, and I will not have any more tickets. I am sorry. That is all we have. The room only holds so many. We can only kill so many cows for this event, or Bob Ferguson will come down on us with climate commitment, who knows what. So we have reached our cow limit. You must sign up now. Otherwise, there will be no cow for you. And there's no wait list. There's no nothing. So make sure you sign up now at KVI.com. Go to KVI.com right now because you do not want to miss out on a live broadcast of the Ari Hoffman Show, as well as the State of the Union, as well as Daniel's Broiler, New York Steaks, my friends. Sign up right now. Plus, we are going to have a drink menu. That is awesome. I got a preview of it today. I found it very entertaining. I found it very funny. I had a few suggestions that are going to get me in trouble with some people. But anywho, it's going to be great. Sign up now at KVI.com. That's KVI.com. Also, with the Seahawks win, that means the city is going to be absolutely, absolutely crazy. So make sure you leave plenty of time because you don't want to miss out on the parade. This news, little good news, I got from the War Department. This one says tears pooled in Army Staff Sergeant Deirdre Irwin's eyes as she stood at the starting line of the National Biathlon Center in the cluster and mountainous stretch of land 3 hours north of Beijing. As the soldier breathed in the piercing cold, she reflected on the journey that brought her to her first Olympic Games. I definitely was like, once I start this race, I'm an Olympian. And I think that kind of emotion just came over me, and I get to say that. In 2022, she quickly wiped away the tears before they froze on her face. The soldier clutched her ski poles tighter to keep the blood circulating in her fingers and narrowed her focus. She took an unorthodox path to become an Olympian, from training as a cross-country skier in Idaho to attending her first biathlon camp in upstate New York and finally enlistment in the Army. As a child watching the 2008 Summer Olympics, she dreamed of one day reaching the pinnacle of track and field. Days before her first Olympic race, she attended the opening ceremonies in Beijing National Stadium, the same city that captivated her on television. It felt definitely full circle for me to have those first memories growing up. The Olympic dream was always there. At the time, Irwin didn't rank among the top 50 female biathletes in the world, but that day she would ski faster and fire more accurately than ever before. The temperature grew so cold that Irwin couldn't feel her fingers during the shooting sessions, yet she still hit 19 out of 20 targets. The cold didn't faze Irwin as she finished 7th place, the highest 15-kilometer finish ever by a U.S. biathlete. She fell a single shot shy of winning the first U.S. Olympic medal in the sport. That's still a crazy, crazy story that she went from just a kid watching it on TV to the U.S. military and then competing in the Olympics. We love those kind of stories. Absolutely love them. And I'll tell you, for all the woke athletes that are out there, we're going to bring you every single good news story out of the U.S. Olympic team that we possibly can, because I'm tired of all the ink being taken up by the woke athletes. Let's focus on the people who are there for all the right reasons, representing Team USA. Well, my friends, that's going to wrap it up for us, but fear not. We will be back tomorrow with more parade details of what you can expect from the KVI booth, more exciting guests, and of course, more insane stories. You've been listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI.